Now we're going to move right along. And in doing so, we're going to bring up our next speaker. Our next speaker actually comes to us from Canada. She flew down, I believe it was yesterday, joined us for dinner last night, is likewise not part of the collection industry, but has some fantastic skill sets. So, ladies and gentlemen, on vocal coaching, we have Sylvia Larrass.
Before I start, just listen to these 3 voice samples. Number 1. Hi, I'm calling in regards to your bill of $200. How can I help you take care of it today? Number 2. The balance due on your account is $500, and I'm calling to see how you'd like to pay the balance. Number 3. I'm calling from Creditors Bureau USA. This is an attempt to collect a debt, and any information will be used for that purpose. Okay. Hi, everyone. So, which voice sample do you think was most effective? Number 1, right? I would agree. Now, why is that? Well, let's take a look and explore this in the talk, Your Voice, the Gateway to Rewarding Conversations. Because I would like to share some tools with you today so that you can leverage your voice's potential, so that you can build connections, so that the listener will engage with you, so that you can build trust, and so that you ultimately can clear America's debt. Yes. So did you know, before I start, were you aware that in just a few seconds, your voice will be judged on its trustworthiness, on its level of respectfulness, its level of confidence and authority, its knowledgeability, and friendliness? Yes, research shows us that you will be judged within, I think it's about 7 seconds. So why is that? Because we are hardwired to react to the voice, to decode it, and to make a decision on whether we want to listen and engage with the speaker. Now, if the voice is so important, and you as debt collectors and speakers and all the communicators in this room, since the voice is so important and you use it for hours every day, how do we make it the most effective possible? Well, let's take a look at what an effective voice sounds like. So an effective voice sounds strong. What does that mean? It needs to be loud enough in order to convey authority and assertiveness. Next, an effective voice needs to be clear. What does that mean? Is we give emphasis to key words so that they land with the listener. Yes, you don't want to just ramble on like I did in voice sample number 3. And thirdly, you ideally want your voice to sound dynamic, which means there's a varied tonal range. So not a monotone like I demonstrated before and where every word sounds the same. Also, you want your voice to sound well-paced. And that means that you want adequate pausing. Why is that important? Because you want the listener to process what you're saying, to understand, to engage with what you're saying, because they're not inside your head. And we heard in the panel how important it is to listen. And that's why pausing is so important, so that you can build that connection. And finally, ideally you want your voice to sound somewhat warm. And what does that mean? We're going to explore that in a few moments. But warmth means that there's a human being at the other end of the line. It's not just some automaton going through the motions and wanting to check off a box at the end of the day. The consumer wants to hear that there's somebody there who actually cares about their situation, right? Now, since we've just covered these aspects, the question is, how do we do that? How do we use our voice to the best of our ability to really have those rewarding conversations? I'm going to show you, as I said, you're going to be working hard now. I'm going to get you to stand up, but not right now. Before we do that, consider this. You, the debt collector, are a vocal athlete. Yes, you are a vocal athlete. And why? Because you spend hours and hours speaking. You're using your voice as an instrument, just like a football player or a wrestler or a swimmer uses their body to be effective. You use your voice in order to make these meaningful, to have these meaningful conversations. So you need to not only use your voice well, but also take good care of it in order for it to be effective and last, durable in the long term. Okay? So I want to invite you to now stand up and let's do a few exercises. I'm going to share a few tips and tools for you to be able to use that voice well, to engage better, and also a few tips and tools to actually have better what we call vocal hygiene, which is vocal care, okay? And I'm going to ask you a question. What do you think drives your voice or your communication? What's the first thing that makes you a good communicator? What's the foundation of that? Yes, the mind, your mindset. The breath is correct too, but we're going to get to that. The mindset, and we've heard so much about this from other speakers today. If you have a positive mindset and you bring in energy, it's going to affect your voice. If you're negative, it's going to have a negative impact on your voice, and it'll carry over to the other end of the line. Okay, so that's the first question I want to ask you. Now, what drives the physical aspect of the voice? What actually produces sound? Any ideas? Yeah, posture is important. Did I hear breath before? Who said breath? Yes, the breath. Okay, very good. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is experiment with me with regards to the breath. And the most effective way of breathing, in order to get your voice across effectively, is it up here, very superficial breathing, or is it, yes, belly breathing, exactly, abdominal breathing. So this is a little tricky with the microphone, but I'm going to ask you to place your hands on your belly like so, and just feel. I just want you to feel this low belly breathing. So I'm going to demonstrate what I'd like you to do. I'm going to blow out my air through an imaginary straw like this. At the end of my exhalation, I'm going to hold briefly for about 1 second and then let the air back in by releasing my belly. Okay? So that's what I'd like you to do. We'll do it together and then you'll do it on your own time, okay? So here we go. Blow out together through that imaginary straw. Here we go. Hold your breath. Now let the air back in. Release your belly. Exactly. Now try it again. Blow out. Hold your breath. Release the belly. Let the air back in. One last time. Blow out your air all the way to the end. Hold. Release the belly. Let the air back in. Okay? Is anyone feeling a little bit of the release in the belly? It can take a little bit of practice, but the point of this is to give you more power in the voice. This will power your voice better. And also, it's relaxing. If you find that you've got an aggressive caller, an aggressive consumer, relax your belly and let the air back in, because we hold our breath when we're upset, okay? So it's really, really important to remember this belly breathing. Next, I'd like to talk a little bit about resonance, because the voice is an instrument, and like any instrument, it has resonators. And one of the major resonators is our rib cage. So I'm going to ask you to place your hands across your hands like this over your rib cage. Relax your shoulders and elbows. And I'd like you to have fun with just giving me a nice sigh like this. Ah, okay? Everyone, just have fun. Relax. Try it. Ah. Oh, you can do better than that. Come on, try it again. Ah. Very good. So if you place your hands a little closer to here, to the sternum, you should feel a little vibration. Let's do it one last time. Here we go. Ah. That's right. So the reason why I'm asking you to do that is there are two reasons actually. One is it relaxes the chest, it releases the voice, and allows the sound of your voice to carry more effectively. Because if you're tense and tight and you're tired, you forget to release the air and you just push the voice out, and that can cause tension. Where do most speakers feel the tension over time? Shoulders. Where else do you feel it? Do you feel it in the throat sometimes as well? Okay. So if you just think of sighing more when you're talking, especially when you're tired, that will help. And relax your chest, especially if you're feeling nervousness as well. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about now is the other resonator, and that is right around here. We have really powerful resonators around the cheekbones, the nose bridge, and the forehead. And it is called in theater, any idea what is called this part of the face? The mask. Excellent. Yes, and it's called the mask for obvious reasons. Now, when I place my voice in the mask, which I'm doing right now, there's much more power, more brightness, more tone, more warmth than if I'm talking down here. Do you hear the difference? If I just let my voice drop, well, I sound 30 years older, right? So if I place my voice here, there's much more power, it projects better, and bonus, less pressure on the throat, less wear and tear on the throat, okay? So I'm going to ask you to experiment with that for a moment, and I'm going to ask you to go like this, as if you were really pondering something. Let's try that together. Ready? Yeah, try my, and think of that sigh at the same time. Ready? Here we go. Good, very good. Now try ma ma ma. Very good. Now we'll add some silly words to it, and we'll do Molly made muffins. Everyone. That's right. So really think it right around the nose bridge or the your eyebrows. One last time. Molly. That's right. Okay, so now this is really a crash course in voice coaching. This I normally do in a full day. But if you can just have your attention on speaking through the mask and just having your attention will help you stay out of your throat, especially at the end of your shift when you're getting tired. And I use this technique a lot for call agents and interpreters who spend hours and hours in the booth or on the phone. So it's quite effective. I highly recommend it. So just to wrap up, remember the belly breath, relax your chest, think of sighing, and think of your resonators, okay? So now let's put that into practice with an actual phrase. Yes. Oh, it's very small. Okay, I'll read it to you. I'm calling in regards to your XYZ bill of $200. How can I help you take care of it today? Is it really small? Is it really hard to? Okay, you know what? Then can you just memorize the sentence? How can I help you take care of it today? Is that okay? So what I've done is I've underlined help and today because I want those two words to stand out, okay? So I'll repeat it again. How can I help you take care of it today? So think of sawing and think it around the mask as you do it, okay? Together? Very good. Now turn to someone in the room and ask them, connect with them as if they were an actual human being. Ready? Here we go. Very good. And all of a sudden, it sounded so much more human, so much more engaging. Great. Thank you so much for playing, and please have a seat. Well, I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. Sorry. Thanks for indulging me. Yes, so as you can see, when you use your voice in a way that is effective, you can get across so much more energy, a different tone. It just sounds more alive as well. So I highly recommend that you just try the technique. Have fun with it. A few more words on vocal hygiene. We already touched upon vocal hygiene in the sense of vocal placement, but just to go over a few last points. I'll read it since it's too small. Do a little voice warm up if you want in the morning when you come into the office to just get the vocal cords limbered up, and even do a few hmms or say the name of your consumer out loud before you call them. That could be a warm up. Sit up tall. Remember, you need a tall spine for everything to be aligned. Very important. Relax your belly and chest, as I just showed you. Remember to speak from the mask. Avoid yelling and being angry at any cost. It causes tension in the voice. No smoking of any kind, no vaping, nothing. If you want your voice to be fresh, avoid those things. Stay hydrated. Drink plenty of water. Coffee and alcohol and pop, unfortunately, dehydrate the voice, so water is the best. Watch what you eat and drink. Some of these foods can cause acid reflux. If you have hoarseness or soreness in the morning, it might be what you ate the night before. Get enough rest or exercise. Remember, you're a vocal athlete, so take care of yourself, especially between calls. Remember, slow down, pause, and breathe. And on that note, I'd like to thank you and remind you to use that voice well as a vocal athlete to have those rewarding conversations. Thank you so much.